Hi, you guys, and welcome to another episode of Summer School. Today, we're here with a very cool guest. So fun. We're here with Nathaniel, and he's the owner or part owner in Spirit Camp, which is the retreat center that the last workshop I taught at was at. That was such a long way to say all of this. But when I found him, not only was his energy so freaking fun, I stalked him online and realized this man is a genius in all things kind of AI and ChatGPT and all that sort of stuff. And at camp, I was like, you have to come on the podcast. So I'm so excited to have him here, and we're going to chat ChatGPT. We're also probably going to chat other AI softwares and just talk about all of it. Talk about the ethical side of it, talk about the emotional side of it, talk about maybe how you can use it. And he also runs his own program on all of those sorts of things. So let me hand it over to you for you to kind of tell everyone a little more about yourself so that you can kind of introduce and say what you do, because I find it to be so cool. So this conversation is going to be so fun. But Nathaniel, tell us a little bit about you, Spirit Camp, and all the things AI that you're into.
Well, my mind is still stuck on the fact that you called me cool, because as a little
You
kid,
are cool.
I was not the cool one. And that's actually why we started Spirit Camp, is we wanted a place where people could come, heal together, grow together, play together. And so many of us have like that childhood trauma wounding that we carry with us. And we need those places to come back together to find connection, to be our quirky selves. And so it was such a joy to have you and your group here. And it was like so invigorating for Julian and I, my partner, to get to see you guys play, frolic, learn, do all the things. So that was amazing. So yes, we have Spirit Camp. It's a retreat center up here in Mendocino. But I have been working in communications and marketing for over 20 years. And in the last 2 or 3 years, I got really scared about AI. Like, was it coming from my job? What are the ethical implications? I don't want to use this. I thought I was just moving to the Redwoods to retire, stick it to the tech bro oligarchs. And then I started realizing that I needed to learn these tools if I was going to stay relevant. And then I moved into, holy crap, these tools are absolutely amazing. This is saving me so much time. I can do so many more projects. I can have my side hustle and my corporate gig. I can have my marketing agency and be a healing practitioner promoting breath work. I can do it all. And I can do it because of AI. And then what happened as I started looking around and talking to my clients and my friends, and found out like literally 19 out of 20 of them were not using ChatGPT or barely using it. And they had all these concerns come up. And so about a year ago, I had a theory. And I was like, I think I could teach people to use AI the way I'm using AI. And I think that if I guide them through a process using my communications and behavior change background that I have in organizational development, I could really see people change how they use it. And I got 20 people together, and I had to beg them. I was like, hey, come try this with me for 6 weeks. Let's see if this works. And it blew my mind. It blew their mind. Everyone was like, whoa, I can't believe what this can do. So now I have AI learning labs, because I love teaching. I love helping content creators, and I love helping people with big visions and big hearts figure out how to use technology in a conscious and embodied way. And I really do think that we are on the verge of a change for humanity, and there's many paths this can go. And I think we can have really beautiful use of AI if really good humans get involved and learn how to use these tools and help shape the policy and the regulation and the product use of these tools.
What would you say if we just had to start it off with people hearing like good use versus bad use? Like, what would you deem as maybe good or bad use of it? If you probably do have that kind of answer, but genuinely just kind of point blank, does something specific pop into your mind when you think of like good and bad use of ChatGPT, of AI, of these type of softwares?
I think the fastest answer would be, I see AI as a magnifier for intention, right? Like, if you have an intention, AI can help you with that intention. So the question is like, what are your intentions, right? You can use a hammer to build a house. You could use a hammer to hit someone over the head. So why are you using it, and how are you using it? And that's something we focus a lot on, is helping people get focused on, what is your intention? What are you trying to do or accomplish in the world? And then how do you use AI to help you do that? And so we also lay down kind of a framework in what we teach, where you have practical skill, you need that, but you also need to be talking about the ethics. You need to be talking about embodied use of AI. And then you have, how do you use AI to make community and build with community? And how do you use AI to magnify your vision and intent? So I really think it's not just about how do I use ChatGPT the best way possible, but am I thinking about AI and what it means for humanity as I'm using it?
No, I really love that. One of the conversations that sparked us having our conversation and bringing him on the podcast was someone was like, hand raised, what about like the water use? I think that's probably the number one question I see getting asked from my community. I don't know on your side of the community, there might be even more questions, maybe more fear. I think my community is open minded, at least some, not all are open minded to AI. I know my husband in the music industry is like, I don't love this. But yeah, the water use. Tell me about the ethical, environmental side of this, and what you shared at camp. I really enjoyed hearing. So I'd love for you to tell everyone about that because I have talked with a different owner that owns an AI company, and he was like, I mean, AI is in everything you're not even seeing. So why are you scared of using a tool like ChatGPT? It's almost more so it feels almost like a marketing thing against ChatGPT, not that that is actually the downfall of the water use. And I'm not educated on this. So I would love to hear, you being someone that's more educated on it, what your thoughts are on the environmental side of AI.
It's such a good question. And I think this question alone is why so many people are slow to adopt or slow to use it. So it's ironic because the people that care most about the environment that I wish were using AI for advocacy campaigns to shape policy are sitting on the sidelines. So that's one of my big things is how do I help people feel and understand the resource issues? Because they're not going to solve themselves if we're not engaged. But let's start with this from the perspective of like a bit of a comparison. So first I want to say the AI use of water and electricity is concerning. Full stop. Full stop. Okay. And the use of cars and electricity and CO2 has been a big issue that we need to solve, full stop. And eating meat, also major issue, right? The amount of water it takes to make your hamburger. So we've already been facing as humanity that our consumption, the things we're consuming, are having an environmental impact. But as we know, you could buy an electric car that has way less CO2 emissions, or you can have a gas guzzler, so you can make a choice there, right? You could choose to eat fish or chicken instead of having a hamburger, right? But often we look at the end consumer and say, that's bad, you're doing the bad thing. And the question is upstream. Well, why are we letting people factory farm meat and use this much water, right? How do we regulate and change the problem upstream? Or even if I'm using an electric vehicle, the CO2 is often still coming from non-renewables, right? And so we have to start looking at this from a system issue. So let's compare directly ChatGPT to these other things. So I'm not an expert. There's lots of different numbers, lots of contradicting studies, okay? But if you were to drive 50 miles in a vehicle, that would be the equivalent of anywhere from like 5,000 to 400,000 prompts. Okay. Now, the difference between 5,000 and 4,000 prompts is that data center, is it using renewable energy that's low CO2, or is it using gas guzzling energy that's high CO2, right? But the CO2 equivalence is based on where you're getting that energy. So just like cars and vehicles, we've got to be sourcing our energy from good sources. And that's a national debate that we need to take on. But what I hope you're hearing here is that you'd have to be doing 5,000 prompts to be equivalent to you riding 50,000 miles, right? And we're not telling everyone stop driving your car. We know that that's not going to help civilization right now. What we have to do is create cleaner, smarter cars, and we have to have a better grid that can power those cars, right? So that's the same thing here. I'm not saying don't care about electricity. What I'm saying is let's advocate that we're using clean energy. Let's advocate about how we're building this infrastructure. And this could be a whole nother topic. Nuclear probably needs to be on the table. And I think our generation is more open to that than other generations have been, but we are going to have to really face the energetic dilemma. Let's make the comparison.
Would you say,
go ahead.
No, just would you say then that using ChatGPT like wisely would then be important? Like not just throwing anything and everything you want to do within it, in it, and doing it with like a cautious mind?
I don't think that's going to be the same impact as you taking time to be an advocate for good renewables. I've heard that argument, but I really think that to use AI well, you got to play with it. You got to have fun
Yeah.
with it. You got to co-create with it. You've got to be willing to make your recipes and do these things. If you only use it for your work, you're not going to fully understand what AI can do. And so
Yeah.
I want to be careful that we don't police, don't do this with
Don't do
AI,
it
do
too
this with AI.
much.
That's not
Yeah.
gonna change the AI issue in terms of energy. What's gonna change the issue is that you're voting for people who are going to regulate
Mm.
AI, that you're voting for representatives that are going to put new legislation in place, just like we did with cars, and said cars have to have a certain amount of emissions. We need the same thing with AI. The biggest issue right now is there's zero federal regulation with AI. And that's something that we
Interesting.
have to
That's
change. So
crazy.
I'd rather see your mental load and energy going to thinking about and advocating for good policy, not worrying if you should cook your meal tonight with AI or not.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I don't feel like I think about it almost deep enough sometimes, but I do love AI, and I feel like as a business owner, if you're not willing to evolve, like, I don't know, I just think everyone needs to evolve with technology in general. I think the AI shift can be seen almost in photography, like shifting to digital. Yes, there's still film photographers, but it is a mostly digital world now. Obviously, that shift took a while, but I would rather be on the front end of most shifts than trying to catch up after it's already like superseded what I can even like try to fathom getting to. Do you know what I mean?
And I think we need people that care about the world being at the forefront of the shift,
Mm-hmm.
because the tech bro
Yeah.
oligarchs don't. They will
Yeah.
extract and do things at the lowest price point possible for the highest profit. So once again, just like we faced on every other issue, instead of shaming the consumer for like using a plastic water bottle, why aren't we regulating Coca-Cola not to produce plastic? And I
Yeah.
think there's this thing where we keep shaming the end consumer. Like, let's look at like the water issue, because I'm very concerned about the water issue as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one hamburger is as much water as anywhere from 5 to 150,000 prompts. So if you
Well,
really care about water, stop eating the red meat. But I could also say, let's regulate factory farming and have pasture raised meat, and let's make these more sustainable
yeah.
systems. But I'm scared that we're going to do the same thing to the consumer again and say, it's your fault, you did this. No, it's the tech bro oligarchs that are choosing to mass produce this at a speed without thinking about where they're placing this, where their water systems
Mm.
are. Why is it using so much water? It's because water evaporation is the fastest way to cool. What if we could create closed loop systems? We can, it's just more expensive. So I will say
Mm.
this. I do think we have to be careful as consumers not to think, oh, I get ChatGPT for $20 a month and I'm not going to pay more. Are we
Mm.
willing to pay more for AI servers in the future that show us they're carbon neutral? I hope we would.
Mm.
Just like we're willing to pay more for our hybrid vehicles. So your place to vote with
Yeah.
your dollar will be to choose to use the services that are most aligned with your values and to know what services and products those are. And I don't think we have a lot of options right now, but that's what we need to be advocating for. And that's how we should be voting with our dollar.
Mm. So what would you say to someone that's like scared to use AI? If they're scared to use it because they're scared it will like replace people. Maybe it's not even the energy side. They're just scared of it as like humanity. What would you say to those kind of people in case those people are listening and they're like, I need to hear why why I should use it and not be afraid of the detriment of how it could change society, because at the end of the day it's already changing society, and I don't think that's something we can really reverse.
Yeah, I don't want to go on the record saying that I think AI is amazing and nothing bad is going to happen.
Yeah.
I think we are up against the technology of the gods, and how
Mhm.
we use this will dictate the future of humanity.
Yeah.
So I want to say that very clearly, right?
Yeah.
But humanity has a course, and that is extract from humans, extract from the environment, extract from the creators, or rethink every human system like we've never thought before and use AI
Mm.
as a tool to do that. I'm a Bernie Sanders supporter. I'm an AOC supporter. I'm all about like the revolution. We need new systems. In some ways, AI could fundamentally break our systems as we know it,
Mm.
and we'll have to rebuild. If it does take everyone's job, we're going to have universal basic income. Elon Musk himself has said that. So when you have people
Yeah.
like Elon Musk advocating for universal basic income, you got to go, holy crap, like what if AI is the change point in society and where we rebuild everything? But I want to say very clearly that like this is why I'm so passionate about people that care about the environment, that want to be soulful creators, that care about human connection and authenticity. if you don't use these tools and you're on the sidelines, your businesses aren't going to be able to compete. You
Mhm.
personally won't be able to keep up in a changing world, and you won't be able to create the art, the advocacy pieces, the social change movements necessary to have a front seat row at guiding us away from the Elon Musk option to a brighter alternative.
Mm. No, I 100% agree. I don't think I mean, I use it in lots of things, even in little situations that I could tell people right now ways that I'm currently using AI that and I'm sure we can dive into tools that you use that you love, Nathaniel, too, right after I say a couple ways I use it. I mean, I love ChatGPT. Let me tell you, it's my little best friend. I don't know. I throw a good bit to it these days and it's been really, really, really beneficial. And in some ways, yeah, it does save my business money, maybe less assistance being needed and more time given, which is really important to me as someone who has like a family and a child. Like for anyone, even if it's just a partner or a friend that you want to spend more time with, time is really valuable to me. But in another small area I'm using it is all my meetings I take now has like an AI companion integrated through my client managing software, which is so nice because when it comes to like connection and those consultation calls in general, I can actually be 100% present and never have to type a single note. And I'm like, that is so good as a business owner. If you're thinking sales or you're thinking like just being able to connect with your client better, not having to worry about typing notes is revolutionary. Like that's so helpful, you know?
And I
Man,
think
what are
that's
some
a
tools you like?
I love many. I have a question for you. So are you
Oh, yeah,
using
go ahead.
ChatGPT? So one category is LLMs, right? Large language models. So ChatGPT,
Mm,
Claude, Gemini, Perplexity fall in this category of products
yeah.
that do similar things in different ways. Which of those tools are you using currently?
Yeah, I'm only really using, like, ChatGPT, the call integration. There's AI built into my client managing software, but I don't feel like it's fully dialed in well enough yet. And then I think there is an AI companion I can enable inside of my, summer school membership that I haven't dove into looking into yet, but I also do use different culling and editing software. So on the photo side of it, I have a software that helps you cull a lot faster. There's some that do it for you, but that's the side where I think as artists, there is a certain level that it depends on your style, but in my style personally, it won't actually fully replace me. So for culling, it's AI assisted. So it just uses AI to like rank your images and tell you which ones are like the best, whose eyes are closed, and things that are really beneficial when it comes to like really making your selections a lot quicker. And then AI editing, I actually do believe if you have a consistent enough style, AI eventually will be able to almost edit for you when you're doing a service like myself with weddings where it is pretty consistent, which is crazy, but I definitely do believe it can learn our micro adjustments and learn kind of when we would make certain decisions based off different lighting and stuff. So I'm using it more in those scenarios. I haven't tried Gemini or the other ones that you mentioned. I have tried AI calendar managers before, which were useful, but I disabled just because it wasn't dialed in correct for me yet. So, but I don't even know. I've never heard the word LMN, so that was insightful in and of itself.
So LLM, yeah. So that's the area that I focus most because you're talking about a lot of different things that are on the horizon, right? AI plugged into native platforms that help
Yeah.
you do these creative tasks or things. And we're seeing that a lot of them are not quite there yet, right? They're
Mhm.
somewhat helpful, but often they're a little bit more clunky than not. Where I think the biggest gains right now for solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and creatives is becoming a master at prompting LLMs and not
Mm.
only prompting ChatGPT, but knowing when do I go to ChatGPT versus when do I go to Claude versus when do I go to
Mm.
Gemini versus where do I go to Perplexity. Okay. And when I talk about optimizing your day, there's two goals I really have for everyone is like, where can you gain back the most time? In this day and
Mm.
age, no one should be writing emails at all anymore, right? I
Yeah.
voice dictate every email I write, and I have really great prompt techniques so that it sounds like me, it's well formatted, it's in the right tone of voice perfectly every time. And I used to spend a third of my day writing emails, not
Mhm.
anymore, right? Then everyone has documents that they have to create. Do you have to create a project plan? Do you have to create a contract for your client? Do you need to come
Yeah.
up with new content ideas for getting your brand out there? Do you need to create a new landing page, right? How do you create content that helps your business function or helps you market your content? And
Mm.
this is where LLMs are incredible, but they're only as good as the prompter. right? So you need really good frameworks and know how to prompt it. So, for example, if I look at my toolkit and what I go to, ChatGPT, great for deeper reasoning, brainstorming. I go to it when I'm like, hey, I need to write this curriculum. Can you help me think through that? And, how could I structure this? What information is out there that I should be thinking about? It's kind of like my co-partner in crime for planning, reasoning, and rationale. And it's really great at tech support, right? I don't know how to do this thing on my computer. Walk me through step by step. So helpful. Gemini is where I go when I want to do deep research. If I want to deeply understand a topic, and that could be I want to buy a new red light therapy device, to I want to know how all photographers in my space are selling themselves or what price point they are. It can do deep research and will literally take 10, 20 minutes to deeply research and go through hundreds of sites and give you a report on anything, right? Something worth $5,000, $10,000 you used to pay for in corporate or more, right?
That's crazy.
So I go to that for that. Perplexity I go to when I want to understand trends and what's going on. So sometimes I'll even say, this thing is happening in U.S. politics. Can you give me an understanding of how Republicans are talking about this versus Democrats? Because I'm in my own little echo chamber with the liberals, right?
I love that you do that, though.
I do. I want to understand because I'm always like, wait, how is their reality so different than mine? And so I'll ask Perplexity, it will pull all the news sources and construct for me an understanding of what's happening. So it's really good for that news real-time aggregator. Perplexity has the highest score that I'm aware of for accuracy. It's trained on ChatGPT, but it's supposed to be highly accurate. But here's my favorite tool. And I hope everyone listening to this podcast will go download it right now.
I
Claude.
will.
Claude.
I've seen so many ads about it. I actually think they've emailed me asking me to make an ad. I'm like, I haven't used it yet. Like, I haven't tried it. So I should try it.
You should absolutely try it. Claude is my go-to for writing anything that needs to sound and be like me. Instead of tons of emoticons and lines and who knows what ChatGPT is going to spit out, it will give me a document with headings and subheadings and beautiful bullets, right? And with the right amount of prompting, and one thing people need to know how to do is how do you create a brand, tone, and voice guide? In communications and marketing, right? We'll sit with a brand or an individual and say, how do you talk? What are your euphemisms? What's your syntax structure? What's your tone? What's your voice? And we used to charge people like $5,000, $10,000 just to write these guidelines for companies so that everything they write sounds like the company brand or the executive on LinkedIn. You can now create this in a matter of minutes. And then when you create it, you prompt with it so that it's trained to talk like you. And I think I'd love to, in the summer school portion, to talk specifically about how to create one of those. But when you have a brand and tone of voice guide, then you give it to the LLM and you brain dump into it and you say, I need you to do this project and I need you to use this brand and tone of voice guide so that it sounds authentically like me. And now you've trained it to talk like you so that you're getting really, really beautiful results.
Okay, question for you. Have you tried training inside of ChatGPT as well? You know how you can make your own GPT, like that you could then sell or give to other people? Would you say Claude, as in and of itself, if you're going to go through the time of training something, Claude is going to turn out better results than, says with a podcast, I have a million hours of transcripts of what I say and how I speak and my knowledge. Literally, I could dump every single transcript into some sort of software. Theoretically, it should be able to literally write actual knowledge on my behalf. There's so much wisdom we have over 100 podcast episodes now. So I have a lot that I personally could train AI on. Would you say something in that scenario, I would have better results with Claude than GPT? Because I did start training a miniature me in ChatGPT. And it's just even though I've submitted a lot of info to it, I feel like it still says random things. I'm like, that's not my knowledge. Where'd you come up with that?
Yes, this is a perfect example. So I would say if you took the same brand and voice guide and gave it to ChatGPT versus Claude, I personally have found Claude to do a better job of sounding like me. Now, you mentioned something interesting. If I were to take tons of transcripts and go to something and say, deeply analyze this, I might go to ChatGPT because it's really good at deep analysis. And then I would take this over to Claude and say, further condense this.
Okay.
And let's also remember that you have the product. So the product is ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. And then you have the model. Okay. So Claude Sonnet is a little bit more on the right side of the brain, a little more creative. And so it helps me write my copy. if I'm doing deeper analysis and deeper reasoning, like I really got to get like this complex situation understood, this project understood, or I'm giving it a big document, I'm going to turn on Claude Opus. Now you only get so many
Yeah.
uses of Claude Opus every 5 hours, unless you're like me and you pay more.
What does Opus mean? Because I also use another AI software called Opus. So it must be some sort of like, do you know what the word Opus means?
I don't know where Opus comes from. And
It has
it's
to mean
probably some
something,
Greek
because
god or
considering
something.
it's in multiple different AI softwares, I'm sure it means something.
Yes, I'm
We'll have to
not
report back
good
to
at
all of you
literature.
guys.
But in this instance, Sonnet or Opus are just their way of turning on a little switch when you're prompting. Just like we used to have ChatGPT 04 versus 3.0, right? And now they've done away with that, and it's 5, and it's doing deeper thinking or whatever. You can switch the models on. That's where you have to play with the different models and know when to turn to what model to do what activity.
That's so interesting. This could be just fun fact, but I actually was struggling with like a decision I needed to make, and like that decision then led me to emotions, and those emotions no one was awake for me to process with, and it was definitely like a conversation to probably have with a therapist. But I was like, it's midnight and I need to process this. I literally went into ChatGPT and I was like, can you please be my therapist for a second? Now, this is going to sound so inhumane to probably some people listening, but I'm telling you, like, it actually really helped me. Like, I had a full on therapy session with my ChatGPT, and I told it who I was because it gave back feedback. And I was like, no, 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 like, that doesn't really align with me. Like, this is how my brain works. And it was like, oh my gosh, well, then maybe this is why you're feeling these emotions. And it gave me options. And I'm telling you, I think it was better than some therapists I've hired. Like, I was like, this is actually really good. And that probably sounds so weird to admit to everyone, but just in case you're curious, like, you can use it for more things other than business. And it actually really helped me that night, like, really understand what I was feeling coming from something with no technical emotions. Like, that's crazy.
I love this example. I also take all my therapy sessions with my partner, Julian, and I put them into a ChatGPT folder so that it saves that context in that folder. And then I'll ask it questions like, reveal to me through the Jungian archetypes, my shadows, and don't hold back, right? Because it's kind of overprogrammed to be nice to you. So be careful. Everyone's being told that they're amazing. So don't let it up your narcissism levels. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, I'm so special. And then I've taught hundreds of students now. I'm like, oh my gosh, ChatGPT tells everyone they're special.
They're special, yeah.
But in this case, what I like to think of AI as is it's a mirror, right? And we know the potency of a mirror, right? To be able to look into something and have yourself reflected back is one of the most powerful things to have happen in the human experience. And AI is able to do that as well. Now, the important part is not to confuse the mirror for who you are or the mirror for real humans. But yes, it might be more talented than some therapists at being a really good mirror. Does that mean we don't need therapists? I still think we need good therapists. I think we're going to need more of them more than ever. But could I work on some of my basic issues with AI so I can go deeper when I'm paying my therapist hundreds of dollars an hour? So again, I think we should be complementing this. Use AI, but don't become reliant on it. I did have one student who was like, I think I'm going to stop seeing my therapist. I was like, no. like this is beautiful. And it's a beautiful tool for mirroring you back, but nothing replaces the human aspect. And so I think that's how do we navigate? How do we use AI to be more human, to be more self-aware, to see our shadows, to see our patterns, and then make sure that we're showing up more authentically and more deeply with the people around us, not replacing the people around us.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, maybe it's my sign I need a better therapist. But
that is probably what it means. Yes, if AI is doing better than your therapist, get a better therapist.
Get a better therapist. Man, I really revealed myself to the podcast right now. But yeah, actually with me processing my move back to Washington, I don't know, I just had a rough night where I was like, man, is this right? And it really helped me dig into the emotional side of what I was really feeling. And I'm sure anyone technically could have done that in some ways, but no one was awake. So, ChatGPT it was, and it was so helpful. I literally was like, wow, I need to write this down after. This is so great. And so, yeah, ChatGPT can also just help you if you're curious, I guess, to be willing to ask it things. I assume everyone's using it because I use it. But what I've realized when I talk about it is people are like, wait, you actually use it? Like it's a you actually, kind of thing that I don't realize. I guess I don't realize in my bubble. And you've probably seen this as well in your bubble that, oh, shoot, yeah, there are a lot of people who do really, whether it be fear or whether it be just scared to learn something new. They have a fear around even just starting with any sort of AI software, you know?
And it's a different way of working, right? I've been
Mm,
very successful for 20 years in my corporate career. I have ways that I create my PowerPoints. I have ways that I write my documents. I have processes that I follow, and AI blew it all up. And so
mm,
it's also about being willing to relearn how to work. How do you
yeah.
go to AI when you're brainstorming and thinking of ideas and distill those ideas? How do you go to AI to get the knowledge and technical guidance you need to write a really good search engine optimized blog post? How then do you not just jump to writing the blog post, but go on a walk in the woods and narrate from your soul and your heart what you're trying to communicate, and then go back to ChatGPT and say, can you turn this into something beautiful? And this is the big thing I think most people are missing, is
Yeah.
that it's about using AI as a co-pilot. It's not like,
Mhm.
hey, AI, write this blog post for me. It could do that, but it won't be very good. If you take time to narrate, and I have a voice transcription service that I use, and now I go on walks and I'll get in my body, I'll do a little meditation, and I'll feel from my heart, what am I trying to say? What is my intention? And then I'll just speak like, oh, I'm trying to communicate that Spirit Camp's vision and mission is this, and these are the challenges we've
Mm,
gone through. And I want people to understand the shadow of having a retreat center and blah, blah, blah. And I'll just go into all this beautiful depth and complexity and just narrate my heart's content, right? Then I'll take this back to Claude and say, Claude, I have this beautiful letter from my heart. Can you help me clean this up and restructure it? But
mm,
maintain the nuance with which I speak, use my verbiage and vocabulary, and stay very true to how I talk. But help
mm,
as an editor clean this up and create more flow of my messaging in this output that I'm trying to create. And
mm,
so, in this example, what I want people to realize that prompting isn't just like go to ChatGPT, put in $1, get your hamburger. It's you're stepping into a kitchen and you've got to be like, ooh, when do I use the stove? When do I chop this up? When do I use garlic? When do I not use garlic? You don't use garlic if
mhm.
your partner's Julian and he is allergic to alliums. But it really is a creative process. And I can't say this loud enough. I think creatives and communicators are the most poised to be incredible AI users. The
Mm,
way that our brains work, the way that we hold complexity, the way that we have a vision and a dream and know how to navigate through that is probably one of the most potent skills that if you
mm,
learn how to prompt, you become a really, really good prompter, because AI is not a science, it's an art, right? You
mm.
can go to AI and you can give it the same instructions right now and give the same instructions tomorrow, and you will not get the same output. Now, if you're not a
Crazy.
creative or artist, that scares the F out of you, right? If you're a left brained, things need to go the way I expect them to go, that's really, really tough. If you can hold the ambiguity, if you can see everything as an artistic project, even when you're writing an email, then AI is not only more fun, but you're really good at prompting and you get really good outputs.
Do you have any advice for anyone when you keep saying you have to be good at prompting? Do you have any advice for anyone of, like, how to become a better prompter?
So much advice. That's why
I
I
know, you're
created a
like,
six.
"That's why I have a
So
class."
I have a course. I have a course.
Ah,
Let me think
if you
about.
had to give someone, like, a
Yes,
quick
this
tip
is
to
the most
becoming
important.
better at prompting.
Yes. So there's a number of prompting frameworks that are like recipes, that if you go through these
Mm,
frameworks, right, and you have simple prompting, which is just like a few lines of like, I want to do this thing. So you have intermittent prompting where you maybe have a few paragraphs and like a podcast transcript dump. And you have advanced prompting where you take layers and layers of advanced instruction that you've co-created with AI and you create advanced layering, right? And I really believe everyone that wants to have a business needs to be an advanced prompter, because then you can do
mm,
literally anything you need for the business. But I would say the best way to supercharge your results immediately, there's a program called Whisper Flow. It's a
mm.
voice dictation tool. And what it means is anytime I'm on my computer, all I do is I hit the FN key on my Mac. And when I hold it down, it records. When I bring my finger off, it transcribes.
Oh,
Now, why
amazing.
this is so important is AI is really just a pattern recognizer, right? So if you put in a voice prompt or type in a prompt of like 20 words, you're going to get a pretty good output. But if you take that same amount of time and you transcribe what's in your brain, you're going to get 4 to 5 more words. You're going to get like 100 words into that. And when AI has more of that complexity, it can create more complexity in what it outputs. So one of the most important things I'm trying to get all of my students to do is you should be talking to AI all the time, right? So that's the biggest practice, because even if you don't know how to do great prompting, instead of saying, hey, I want to create a blog post, you go, hey, I'm a photographer trying to create a blog post for couples that do weddings. I'm specifically in this area, and I specifically focus on this type of wedding photography. My clients might be searching for terms like blah, 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 right? Can you help me come up with blog ideas to do this? Okay. Now, just that context about who you are, who your audience is, what area you're in, what's unique to your business, AI is going to give you a much more personalized response, right? And so even if you don't know what to say, hey, I don't really know what to prompt, but I'm trying to do this thing. Can you ask me some questions so that I can give you the instruction you need? And this is what I love about AI. You don't even need to know what you're doing. You just need to ask AI the questions. And that's how I became a really good prompter. There was nothing around 2 or 3 years ago. So I just started asking a ton of questions, and AI and I taught ourselves how to do this.
Yeah. Would you say that Whisper, what did it have another
Whisper Flow
thing to it? Whisper Flow. Would you say that Whisper Flow is still important now that you can automatically, I know ChatGPT now has the feature with the new update where you can just talk to it and it'll transcribe itself. Would Whisper be useful in, say, a different scenario where you're on a walk and maybe you don't have good cell service? Like, in what scenario would Whisper be more important than just doing it straight in your ChatGPT like app?
Yeah, such a good question. Yes, you could just record right now in your app, ChatGPT, and you do a voice record, right? And it will record. Now, the problem there is you've got to remember what you want to say for 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Or if you go, it can record for 10 minutes, but often it will lose your transcript at 5 or 7 minutes. And there's nothing worse than writing out your whole business plan or new big idea for 7 minutes and you lose it all, right? So that's one shortcoming, right? Then you have Gemini, where the moment you pause with your voice, it thinks you're done and it starts going. And you're like, no, I was going to keep narrating. Or you have the problem with Claude that you'll be on your computer, but you can't voice record on your computer. So Whisper Flow is a tool that works anywhere because it's on your computer. And now you're in complete control and you can voice dictate anywhere you want without having to worry about the start button, the end button. Now, here's the other thing. Often I'll give it a set of instructions and I'll say, hey, I want you to do this project, blah, 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 blah. I'm holding down the key and I'm narrating and I take my finger off and I think for a few minutes. Okay, what else do I need to say? Oh, that's right. And then I'll hold the key down again, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm like, okay. And then I paste in my 20-page document that I'm working with. And now it's all in there. And then I'm like, oh, but I forgot to give it some important context. So I put my cursor back at the beginning and say, by the way, blah, 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 blah. And when you're doing intermediate and advanced prompting, you need really good prompt instructions. And so if you use Whisper Flow, then you can put the copy wherever you need to, wherever you're at.
No, that's so, I'm like, I need to download that in Claude like today. I'm very excited. I'm so stoked. Man, do you also, one that I think is used a lot in our industry, both wedding photography and probably in what you're doing since you're educating, but have you also dabbled in like mini chat and using that in any scenarios?
Oh my gosh, this is great. Tell me what mini chat is. This is you teaching me.
Okay, ManyChat's my favorite. I wouldn't say it's advanced like Claude. ManyChat is when you comment something and it sends it to you via DMs. Have you ever seen that? Like, hey, comment guide, and I'll send you my guide to like using AI.
I probably need to set this up for my company. So yes, tell me all about it. Tell me about it.
And for anyone listening, ManyChat is great because say you're just a photographer listening and you're like, hey, I'm launching mini sessions, comment mini, and I'll send you the link to book. Then it will send it straight to their DM. So back in the day before ManyChat, we would normally just have a call to action like link in bio, and maybe the conversions would be like 10 to 15%, maybe 20% conversion would actually click. And then who knows how many would actually then end up becoming a customer from there. But with ManyChat specifically, I had conversion rates up to like 80 to 90% click-through rates, which was quite unnormal compared to link in bio type analytics. So anyways, ManyChat is just an AI software that's partnered with Meta. So when you're on Instagram, and there's lots of features it does that I'm not even using, but the ones I use it for specifically, you would love this. So I had a freebie for summer school, and it was called the Inspiration Folder. It was ideas for people's people to post, and maybe some of you listening downloaded it. And I put on my Instagram stories, I made this thing for you guys, comment inspiration, and I'll send it to you. So they literally just type it as a response to my story. It could be a response to a post. And then the mini chat sees that trigger and sends them the inspiration folder. And that's linked to an email list funnel so that then I can then advertise for summer school as like a trigger with funnels set up, like different email sequence going out from there. So yeah, ManyChat, so useful. I think the email list grew like 700 people overnight with just the one story post. And that
Are you
story post,
kidding?
the one story post went from like maybe 1 to 3,000 views to like 6,000+ views. And that's only, those only live for 24 hours. So that was crazy. But yeah, I love ManyChat. Say I'm doing something with a company and I'm an affiliate for them, like GoDocs or maybe an Amazon storefront during Black Friday. Say you guys want to start an Amazon storefront, and it's like, hey, there's, comment Black Friday, and I'll send you all my favorite gear list that's on sale for Black Friday. ManyChat will just send that directly to their DMs. And so anytime you see that and it says like, hey, comment the star emoji and I'll send you the link to my event, and it sends it to you via DMs, that's always ManyChat. And so normally my ChatGPT helps me write my ManyChat descriptions, but ManyChat is like integrated with my email list and like different funnels and freebies. So I love ManyChat. It's great.
Ooh. I mean, I see this all the time. I've been thinking, oh my gosh, I probably need to get one of these
You're
going.
like, how are they doing that?
I've been so focused on just writing the curriculum and the program. I haven't done enough to market it. So thank you. And can I ask what your funnel is?
Like just in general, like I feel like I need a better funnel.
What's your software that you run your funnel on? Because I've been a little disappointed. Everyone says that the funnels are AI optimized, but a lot of it feels really scammy still. So I haven't quite found the funnel building tool. But where do you host all of this?
My funnels are not like nailed down, but like if we're just talking like theoretical funnel of like brand awareness and then getting them into a sequence, I use Flowdesk for email marketing. So that would be like how I directly communicate with most of my people. In my wedding business, I'm not necessarily using Flowdesk, but in my educational business, I am. So Flowdesk is like the pretty email list. You can categorize everything. So say you release a freebie through, and ManyChat's integrated with that, it could categorize them into that freebie and you could directly communicate just with those people. So yeah, I use Flowdesk for all of that. I like their categories and I like the aesthetics, but I don't have like, I'm not like, not as smart as marketing as you. So I don't have like some system even higher than that. But if you don't use Flowdesk, I love Flowdesk for email marketing.
I mean, we're packing a punch today in all the tools that we are.
Oh yeah. You guys are learning a lot. I'm learning a lot. Oh man, that was fun. Well, I want to get back into some questions you actually do talk on a lot, and some of it being even the maybe like emotional side of AI and things. And you may have already hit on this, but I want to know, because you said you enjoy talking about it, is what it really means to be like an embodied user of AI. Do you feel like you've already hit on that? Do you want to elaborate on that some?
I would love to elaborate. So I'll start by saying that it's very easy when you're working to be kind of disassociated and be very in your brain, right? We all know what it's like to kind of be down our rabbit holes, typing away, and we're like I almost feel like the energy is in the forefront of your brain, right? Like you're scrunching your eyes and you're trying to get the thing done, right? Like that's often what it's like when you're writing emails and contracts and doing all the things you hate are usually from that like hard place in the front of your brain. Versus we all know what it's like when we're like in our groove or in our flow state, our zone of genius, we're creating, we're loving what we're doing. We feel like our work isn't just work, but like there's our essence is activated, right?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with AI. You can be kind of crunched forward and like, oh, the prompts aren't working and it's taking me down these rabbit holes and I don't know what I'm doing. And the answers it's spitting out are so huge. Or there's kind of almost the emotional training of like, you're in your body, right? And you're sitting with your body and you're feeling that flow. And then you're working with AI from that place of joy. And this is why I also think voice dictation is really good. When you're typing, you naturally go to like that disassociated, just like, when you're sitting back, having a conversation and you're jiving with AI, it's a completely different experience. Yeah. And we've even seen studies show that the emotions you have when you're talking with AI affect its outputs. It can pick up when you're grumpy and don't like what it's doing. And it's made to be a mirror. So if you're kind of being trite with it and hard with it, its prompting is not as good as when you're being grateful and excited and inquisitive. And so not only does it make for a better human experience when you're in your state of joy and happiness and appreciation, oh my gosh, I can't believe how cool this tech is working for me, but you actually get better results. And so one of the things that we're constantly helping our students figure out is like, how do you get into the practice of being in that state when you're creating?
No, I love that. I just started trying the voice detection, like the voice even in chat. I'm so excited for this Whisper Flow, but I just started with the voice inside of ChatGPT, and the answers it was giving back were genuinely, like you said, so much more like accurate. And just from what you said, it makes so much sense that, I mean, yeah, when it spits out my transcript, it doesn't look like clear grammar. So if you typed a perfect sentence, that's not how we're naturally going to speak to it. And I do think it responded so much better because of me talking to it authentically how I would naturally speak to it.
And we are seeing over and over that AI, to be fully frank, even Sam Altman, the CEO of ChatGPT, has said that we don't quite understand how we created AI, right? Like the scale of intelligence that we reached so quickly in the last few years was not expected. We basically just, the more computer power, the more chips we put together, the better the output. And even said, it seems that like, intelligence is a property of matter. I say that because AI is more like the human brain than we realize. It forgets things like the human brain. It remembers things like the human brain. Just like the human brain will remember things at the beginning and the end very well, but forget the middle. AI is the same way. So the more that you're talking with AI and building a relationship, the better you are at prompting and the better experience you're going to have with it. And one other thing I think I want to hit on when I talk about embodied use of AI, I got this, I'm marketing all my friends, and I'm obviously just sending out tons of emails, some of them automated, because I really believe in what I'm doing, but I can't send a personal email to everyone I've ever met. And the thing I was most scared about happened. And that was a friend wrote an email back saying how hurt he was that I reached out to him to sell him on a course when I haven't talked to him in years, right? And I was like, oh, this is what I was scared about. This is why I didn't want to do mass marketing, but I've got it. I believe in this. I want to send this message out. And I want my friends and my family to know what I'm doing, even though I'm not trying to hard sell them here. And usually what I would have done is I would have gone, ouch, I'll do this later. And then I would have closed the email and told myself, I'll do it later. And guess what? It probably wouldn't have happened. Probably 2 years later, I'd wake up one night like, oh, I never emailed back this friend. I'm such a bad friend. Instead, I felt the ouch. And at first I was going to like send back an email that was like, hey, well, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no, I feel his hurt. I feel the pain. So I hit my Whisper Flow button and I just started narrating this beautiful email from my heart, right? It was truly me, truly me. And at the end of my narration, I said, Claude, I don't want you to change this. I want this to be very much in my tone of voice. I want you to follow the flow. Just clean this up a little, take out the redundancies, and make this an appropriate email that very much stays in my tone of voice and all my vocabulary and verbiage. Like, please don't change a thing. And when you're talking to AI, you can do that. You can just say the same thing multiple times. So it really gets the message. It then gave me an email that was absolutely an email that looked like me, right? So here's an example where I didn't outsource the AI of, oh, get back to this friend for me and do the heavy labor that I don't want to do emotionally. No, I felt it and I was in my body. My intention was to send a heartfelt letter to my friend that usually would have taken an hour to type out. And you all know what it's like to write one of those emails where you got to get every word right and you re-edit it 20 times. So this is when I talk about AI as an intention magnifier and being embodied, this is what I mean. It's that be human. Tap into your intention, tap into your heart space, narrate from the heart or narrate your vision or your big idea and let AI help you do it faster and clean it up a bit. But don't just say, write me a blog post and create gobbledygook that's going to add to the dead internet, right? And this is what I mean by being embodied, which is like we are unique, beautiful humans with souls, visions, heartbeats. AI does not have that, but AI is there to be a co-pilot companion. And that's where I'm really wanting people to understand, like you can use AI consciously. And if you use it consciously, there's more room to be more human. And you can actually do the hard things like letters to friends that are mad at you and do them faster so you can move on to other activities and do other things you care about and not leave someone on red for the rest of your life and to feel guilty.
Yeah. No, and a specific scenario popped up in my mind for photographers listening. To me, inquiries. I want to be deeply personal with my inquiries and in my responses to them. I also obviously need to have some sort of sales strategy, but at the same time, I still want to get back with like intention. And if they say something really cool about their day, I want to get back with like, I love that about your day. I love this, that, and that. Well, not only does it show that I care, but it also hopefully will mean something to them as well. And with that, I am now going to take exactly what you said. I would love if when I read that response, I actually respond to it right then and there via something like Whisper Flow, because my initial idea of how I feel about their inquiry, I literally had an inquiry come in while I was at Spirit Camp, and it came in for the city I'm moving to, which I was like feeling resistance and kind of scared. Everything is in alignment. I know I'm supposed to move there, but just fear can come. And I got this dream inquiry, and man, if I had voice memoed that to Whisper Flow and said, make this a professional email, but tell them how much I really care about them because this really meant so much to me. I did try my best. Like literally the title said, "This is Destiny." The title to my email. But yeah, the email was still good. But man, had I actually voice memoed that, I think they would have loved how much I cared about that inquiry. And obviously have said, like, also, say I'm available and say I'd love to shoot their day and that this is the information, but I'd love if you shared also how much it means that they inquired and how excited I am to come back and, how I'd love to partner with their. It just, yeah, I'm like, man, I really need to get this app because inquiries in general, when you get them, I think that would be such a beautiful tool to just like emotionally say your response to that inquiry for the email, because when you type an email, it can be so robotic and so, oh, I don't need to say that, or oh, this is getting a little long, or I don't want to say too much. But I feel like something like Claude, if you tell it, I don't want to say too much, but I want you to tell them how much it means to me that they reached out, it would do that. And that's so beautiful.
And in this case, what I would say too in your prompting, your talk narrate the exact email you want to say. So if you say, write an email for me that does X, Y, and Z, it will try to put that together. It's different if you say, hi, I need help writing this email. I'm going to narrate this email and then I want you to clean it up. And now you say, hey, so-and-so, I am so excited to have received this from you. This feels kind of cosmic right now. And my heart smiles really big. I can't get to this right now, but I really want to. I'll be following up in the next week. End narration. Hey, ChatGPT, take that, stay true to my verbiage and terms, but clean it up. Do you see how it goes from say something warm and kind for me to what are your exact verbiage that you would do? And what you want to do when you're prompting, right, is say, this is my instruction. Now I'm going to narrate, blah, 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 blah. In narration, here's my instruction. ChatGPT needs that clarity from you of when you're switching from I'm giving you directions, ChatGPT, to this is me speaking in my tone of voice, to this is back to my direction. And that's another trick that's going to make your prompting so much better, is not just to tell it what to do, but actually narrate and model from your mind, soul, whatever it is, so that it's actually you and it's just cleaning it up.
Yeah, no, I really love it. I feel like this is such a good point to end on too, because I feel like me and Nathaniel could talk about this forever, but we need to save something for recess. And so for those of you listening, if you've enjoyed this as much as I have, we have an exclusive version of the podcast over in summer school called Recess. And it is a little deep dive, not too long. I say not too long, but some guests talk forever. So some are long, some are not too long, but we're going to dive into a little bit of the nitty gritty with Nathaniel. And I think we're going to dive into a little bit of like what it means to how to create that like brand guide and that brand voice for you to feed to all these AI software so that it will act more like you and less like it's putting the M dashes that everyone else has out there. So stay tuned and go click over and subscribe over there so that you can hear us yap more, because this has been so good. Before we head, Nathaniel, for anyone that's audio only, can you tell everyone where they can find you? Actually, no, before you tell everyone where they can find you, I love asking every guest if they just had one thing that you would have loved to have told your like younger self or your like more beginner like marketing person, what would that be? And I know you might want to think on it, but normally what pops into your head first is what you would like to share.
Yeah, I think I would have told them that it is totally normal to experiment and to fail, and that there is not some one perfect path to be on. To just embrace how messy life is, your career is, your side hustles are, and that if you just keep following. I know it sounds so cheesy, but following your dreams, following your heart,
Yeah.
without judgment. Like life is so much more enjoyable, and you'll actually do cool shit with your life.
I love that. Okay, now you can tell us where everyone can find you and tell them a little bit about your program that you have running. I feel like everyone would love to hear about
Yeah.
it.
So one thing people can do is I teach a master class. I do these webinars for an hour long and they're free. And it's a chance for you to come learn some basics about prompting and Whisper Flow and creating brand guides. But what I have is a 6-week course that you actively bring a project through. So you decide, what is your project? Do you want to have a new marketing campaign for your brand? Do you want to operationalize a part of your company? You choose a project, and then through 6 weeks, every week we teach you more prompting skills for advanced prompting. And we teach you how to set up new kinds of workflows to work in this new way. And so
Cool.
through the 6-week course, you get 90 minutes a week with me live. You get study halls with me for 60 minutes each week. We give you a workbook and prompting, and we do recordings. But I've learned that it's really hard to get people to change how they work. And so they need to be in a live container and not just watch videos. So it's a 6-week container where we walk you through the process with 30 other students in learning how to do everything that we're talking about, but do it tangibly for your business or for your project or for whatever lights you up in the world. How do you do that in an AI enabled way?
I love that. I'm so excited. Where can everyone find you? Like website, Instagram, where can they find all the things? You, even Spirit Camp. Tell everyone like everything.
All of it, all of it. So AIlearninglabs.io, AI
Cool.
Learning Labs with an S.io. Same thing on all the social platforms. We also have Spirit Camp underscore or
Cute.
spirit.camp online. So, yes, if you want to come to a retreat experience, come to Spirit Camp. If you want to learn AI, check us out there. I think in the future, we're going to have AI boot camps at Spirit Camp. So
Wait, that'd
maybe
be
that will be
so
coming.
fun.
Yeah. Oh,
Man,
and
this
I
is
do want to do a shout out. Like, I need more content creators in AI Learning Labs to give me good content. So I am doing 50% off scholarships for content creators and creatives that want to take AI Learning Labs and in exchange give us great content of them going through the course so that I can show more people what the experience is like. And I saw the power of that with all you here last week
yeah.
at camp. I was like, oh, we've been building this place for 5 years, but you bring 40 photographers on the Spirit Camp, and finally this place has been captured in all of its magic. And
Yeah.
so I have such a soft, beautiful place in my heart for photographers and what you do to capture the magic and create emotional experiences. And I'd love to partner with more photographers that want to help us with that.
Amazing. Guys, if you're willing to partner with them soon, you get 50% off. Y'all should head over there. This has been so good. We're going to head into our recess episode, but for all of you listening, if this has really meant something to you, you've learned something good, I would love if you go ahead and right now share this with a friend who you think needs to know more about this topic, or share it on your stories, leave us a rating or review, and that would enable me to have so many more amazing guests like Nathaniel on. That is about all. We are wrapping up to head into recess, but I will catch you guys next week. Bye, guys.